time for a new chapter. Story found in Alias, issue 28. Readers were noticeably let down when they heard that the Alias series would be coming to an end, after Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos has garnered a fairly strong fan following throughout the previous issues. However, the series' conclusion managed to not only tie up all of the previous storylines that had been introduced, but also provided Jessica's character with the chance for a new beginning alongside Luke Cage, as the two sat on a Hell's Kitchen stew. Power Woman, I don't think so.
Story found in New Avengers, issue 8. The banter between Luke Cage and Jessica Jones is one of the biggest reasons they've become such a staple of the Marvel lineup over the past decade or so. After building a strong relationship through a series of odd situations in Alias, the characters have since developed a rapport that has remained consistently strong through each iteration.
I don't want my phone call.
Story found in Alias, issue 3. The Alias series offered fans a look into a much grittier, street-level style of comic books that they hadn't quite seen before, especially from Marvel. The artwork was often reminiscent of old-school noir films, all the way down to the hard shadows and cigarettes. However, in this specific sequence, where Jessica is being questioned by a cop about a crime she didn't commit, it's always clear that she's never quite taking the conversation as seriously as she should.
Even Jessica Jones has a childhood crush.
Story found in New Avengers Vol. 151. Nowadays, when most people think of Jessica Jones, they think of the hard-drinking, smart-mouthed, private investigator, which is probably why it feels so special whenever her life pre-superpowers is referenced. While Peter Parker lived a fairly hard life in his high school years, being the butt of the joke, and forever living the cliched role of the nerd in that subcultural structure, he'd probably be surprised to realize that he had a pretty awesome secret admirer just waiting for him to notice. When he finally reveals his identity to his team members in this specific issue, Jessica can't quite hide her excitement over the discovery, only to be quickly disappointed by the fact that Peter doesn't remember her from their high school days. Luke Cage certainly finds this amusing, but Jessica is definitely a little bummed out.
Never threaten a superpowered pregnant lady.
Story found in Young Avengers 4. Kang the Conqueror is perhaps one of the most powerful villains in Marvel Comics, and a staple villain for the Avengers throughout the years. However, he met his match when he decided to take on a pregnant Jessica Jones during this issue of the Young Avengers.
In our most private of moments.
Story found in Alias, issue 7-9. Alias offered a female character that wasn't glamorized in any way, which was scarcely done in comic books beforehand. Throughout a majority of the series, Jessica is wearing baggy, non-complimentary clothing, and opts for a permanent scowl on her face rather than makeup.
Praise from one of the best.
Story found in Alias, issues 4-5. The earliest issues of Alias made it seem like the comic book series could be delving into some of the darker parts of Captain America's life that neither they nor the characters in the universe wanted to see. While the case itself turned out to be much less scandalous than it might have seemed, its payoff was just as rewarding. Jessica was visited by none other than Steve Rogers himself, who was looking to collect a somewhat dangerous tape that Jessica had been holding onto.
Wanted superhero Nanny. Story found in New Avengers, Issue 7. What was perhaps even more interesting than how quickly audiences were able to embrace Jessica Jones during her solo run was how well she was integrated into the more mainstream Marvel Comics universe in the future, too. Herself and husband Luke Cage have arguably become one of the most iconic comic book couples in history, and the way that they interact with their fellow Marvel heroes is part of what makes them so great.
Sweet, sweet revenge.
Story found in Alias, issue 28. After all of the torture and mental trauma that readers had seen Jessica endure in the issues leading up to the Alias finale, it was almost too satisfying getting to see the former superhero turned private investigator beat the Purple Man as hard as she wanted to. Saved by a telepathic block that Jean Grey had placed in her mind following her first stint with Kilgrave, Jessica was rendered immune to his persuasive powers, allowing her to overtake him rather easily in the end. With several other characters looking on, the fight felt like watching a revenge match that had been years in the making.
The Return of Purple Man.
Story found in Alias, issue 28. After a long series of mystery and heartbreaking reveals, the final issues of Alias managed to deliver on all of the build-up that had been made in the previous issues. Specifically, in the return of Zebediah Kilgrave A, the Purple Man, while readers had gotten to see several examples of the character's power and insanity in the issues prior, getting to see the character return in the present time and torture Jessica and all of those around him was a whole other level of terrifying. The fact that the character began to develop a somewhat meta-philosophy about himself and all of the other characters in the series helped to provide the villain with a new, startling behavior that throws off the reader.
Someone to talk to.
Story found in Alias, issues 25-26. After over 20 issues of being told about Jessica's emotional damage through her inner monologue, the character finally tells her side of the story out loud. She speaks of her past traumas with the Purple Man, as well as how she went from up and coming superhero to downtrodden private investigator.
Punching Marvel's favorite son, Spider-Man.
Story found in Mighty Avengers, issue 5. Not many characters in the comic book universe can get away with punching such a beloved character as Spider-Man, whether it be the Peter Parker or Doc Ock version, and manage to become even more beloved for it. However, Jessica Jones totally pulled it off. Ever since her baby Danielle was born to father Luke Cage, Jessica has developed a certain protective nature that makes her both stronger and snarkier. Leading up to this particular issue, many fans believed that it would be Luke that would be the one to throw down with the superior Spider-Man, but many were quite pleased to see Jessica throw her hand in.
A not-so-one-night stand.
Story found in Alias, issue 1. In a lot of ways, Jessica offered a refreshing change of pace for readers looking for a strong, complex female comic book character. Seeing the way she managed to take control of different situations has been one of the strongest and most recurring aspects of her character over the past few years.
A chance encounter.
Story found in Jessica Jones, issues 25-26. While Alias gave comic book readers one of their most relatable and emotionally complex heroines yet, it also gave them one of the most despicable villains as well. Pulled out from obscurity much like the title character, the introduction of Zebediah Kilgrave, A, the Purple Man, is one of the most sickening moments in this rather dark series. We know that he's the reason for all of Jessica's PTSD and emotional trauma, and in this issue, the readers finally see the moment when Jessica's life changed forever. After she was drawn to a fistfight started by Kilgrave, the character is rendered helpless rather quickly as the Purple Man forces her to remove her clothes in public and fend off any unwanted visitors while he finishes his meal.
Perfect first impressions.
Story found in Alias, Issue 1, when a writer is introducing a reader to a new character. First impressions are everything, especially when it comes to such a visual art form like comic books. This is probably why this specific panel in the first issue of Alias is so beloved. Within just a few panels on a page, the reader learns almost every basic piece of information that they'll need to know about the character. The first is that she is a private investigator running a business called Alias Investigations. The second is that she doesn't deal with the best of clientele, and the third is that she also doesn't have much tolerance for idiots or jerks. After being harassed long enough by this certain client, the superpowered private investigator reaches her limit and smashes his head through a glass door.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.